Hello, Renuka. How are you doing?
Hi, Alisa. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Channelingspiritworld.com is the way to get in touch with this beautiful lady. And today's session is going to be entitled The Karmic Cycle. Hi, Erik. How are you doing, sweetheart?
Hi, Mama. I'm fine. I'm here. And he's joking alive and kicking.
Oh, so I'm very
He,
excited about this topic.
yeah, he's saying, Mom, it's a very long topic, and he's glad with all the questions coming in the comments. You know, he's saying I want that interaction, and he's going to continue answering all the questions connected to the videos. So that process will continue. So I hope many more questions come in the comments. He's excited, and he will be there to answer most of them. There's just this one request that when the video is posted, the questions should come in the comments on the very first day itself.
Right.
Most of them might not watch it the very first day, but I can't keep going back.
Oh, no.
checking it.
No.
That's just a practical issue. That's all.
Exactly.
Today it's again a very interesting topic, connected to the questions in the last video. He's chosen this topic because it will bring in more clarity about the karma part.
Okay.
So he's going to talk about the karmic cycle, he's saying, and he's actually drawn a diagram on the board which is depicting that cycle. And that cycle starts from a point and it comes back and ends at the same point.
Okay.
So the very first I see is, now this is new for me also, so it takes a little bit of time to actually see the diagram. So the first thing is he's saying planning the spiritual contact. So the karmic cycle starts, the first step, the first stage, he's saying planning a spiritual contact. The minute two souls enter into a spiritual contract, the karmic cycle starts.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
The contract is to exchange lessons, and karma is nothing but lessons. And the moment you enter a spiritual contract, and of course these spiritual contracts are planned and designed in the spirit world, that's where this cycle starts.
Okay.
Then the next step he's showing is, then it progresses as a major karmic relationship once you are in the body. That means you will find yourself in a karmic relationship, in a major relationship, which either means a blood tie or which either means any relationship where you will spend a lot of time with that soul.
Right.
So the second stage is a relationship with that soul. And like he said, the relationship might be a blood relationship because that's where you're not able to escape the relationship. And that's how
true.
That's how the contract becomes binding, Mom, he said. The contract becomes because you cannot break blood ties.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Yes, exactly. I think, and that is why all these close relationships, these blood relationships, will involve major karma. That means major lessons. And when I say, Mom, major karma, I mean difficult lessons.
Oh, yeah.
Because, Mom, these are lessons. He's saying, Mom, these are lessons our soul has tried to learn many lifetimes, and we have not been able to do that. And hence, finally, we choose these lessons in these major karmic relationships, in these contracts which are binding, where you'll not be able to run away from them.
Yeah.
You will be tied and you will have to learn, because the problems will continue and you will not be able to escape the relationship. Right. So the only choice you will have is to learn that lesson, and the relationship will automatically find a balance in itself.
Right.
So, basically I'm getting a feeling, he's sending this feeling that if you don't learn your lessons, your life is hell. Because you will continue facing issues in that relationship, and because that relationship is a blood relationship, you will not be even able to escape from it. So that's what he calls a binding contract. He's saying, we enter into binding contracts when we know that this lesson has been difficult and our soul has been always running away from this lesson in every lifetime, and this lifetime we want to make sure that we learn from it. Hence we choose a binding contract for that particular lesson.
Okay.
So I think entering a relationship, that major karmic relationship, is the second step. The third step, which we have already discussed, is the karmic phase activation.
Yes.
He's saying He's saying, Mom, we all will be in relationships, but not all relationships will be troubled relationships at all times. And
Okay. God,
whenever
no. That'd be unbearable.
it will be difficult, it will be a nightmare. So he's saying we have discussed this concept called the karmic phase, where there is a particular chosen time by both the souls when the karma will get activated.
Right.
And
Who
the moment
decides that? The mutual souls decide that?
yeah,
Okay.
yes, and the timing is conducive to both of them.
Okay.
And he's saying, mind you, Mom, we give time to every relationship, and we don't choose karma in most of the relationship at once, because it will be difficult. Because if I'm facing issues in one relationship, I'll need the other relationships to support me, to be there for me, to be empathetic towards me, to listen to me.
Yeah.
And if at all in your life, if you find all your relationships in chaos and in mess, something you have done wrong, some karma you have not balanced, and it's continuing, and then the other relationship gets activated, then that's continuing. So he's saying it depends how sooner you learn, but we don't choose all our relationships to get chaotic at once. And if it's happening in your life, it's because you have backlog. You have not learned the lessons in your previous karmic activated relationship, and then they get carried away. So the issues will continue. What he's trying to say is, if you're not learning the lessons, the karma is not getting balanced. If karma is not getting balanced, that relationship will continue to be chaotic. That relationship will continue to trigger you simply because the lessons are not learned.
Right.
Because learning the lessons will make you that kind of a person who will be able to deal with that relationship, who will be at peace with that relationship. Automatically, the triggers will go away, the lessons will be learned, karma will be balanced, and the relationship will be peaceful. So you say, Mom, it's all connected. Just connect the dots.
You know, it's interesting because I could see in my own life and also the lives of other people, family members and friends, that there's always at least, not always, but almost always at least one super chaotic relationship. But then to balance it out, there's a real supportive relationship. Rarely is it like all the relationships are toxic and chaotic, right?
Yeah, it's rarely, but he's saying, Mom, but it happens.
Oh,
yeah. When a particular soul is not aware and it's not learning its lessons, it's not aware, it's not open to learning its lessons, every relationship one after the other. Because he's saying, Mom, if you were meant to learn specific lessons in this relationship, the lessons in the next relationship were meant to get easier because you have learned here, and that
right.
will act as a basis.
Right.
Now, if you don't learn over here, the next karmic relationship will get more difficult, and and that's how it will keep getting difficult, and that's where you actually see all relationships becoming chaotic. It's very rare, yes, but it happens. It's known to happen when people are not aware, they're not open to learning their lessons.
Yeah.
And that's when loneliness sets in, and that's when people feel alone and left out, and where they feel they don't fit in. But yes, that's too rare. At some point the soul awakens itself to the pain and suffering it is going. It starts asking the right questions, and then help is sent. Yes.
Okay.
So the third stage, he's saying the karmic phase activation, where the karma gets activated. Now, how do you understand the karma is activated? You or the other person starts getting triggered by each other. We have discussed karmic phase in one of our previous lectures, but he's saying I'll just brush it again because he's got more to say on that given topic. He's saying there have been interesting questions regarding, how do I understand my lesson? How do I understand the karmic phase is going on? And how do I learn my lessons? He's saying each of these topics are very important, and I'm going to take them each one by one and discuss them with great deal of intensity and depth so that there is a better understanding. So patience, he's saying, but we will cover those topics. He's going to give an entire practical process step by step of how to balance karma in a relationship. And this is the first part to it, where we are recognizing the entire karmic circle in parts. And then we'll be taking these small topics individually so that there is more understanding. He's saying, Mom, have you noticed you are being your own self? Your intentions are pure. You are doing your own thing. You're being in the lane and all. And yet the opposite person keeps getting triggered by you. Have you ever
The
experienced
opposite person what?
keeps getting triggered by you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay.
He's saying that means the karma has been activated for that person. Where, because the opposite person has to learn, no matter how you act, no matter how pure your intentions are, and you're being in your own lane and everything, the other person will still get triggered by whatever you say or do, because the karma for that person has been activated.
Oh,
He's saying many times we will find ourselves in situations where we don't mean any harm or any hurt, but we are still triggering certain people in our life, certain relationships. That's when you have to understand the karma for the opposite person has been triggered. And same, if you reverse it, there will be times when the opposite person is not doing anything intentionally, but you will keep getting triggered by every act and by every word of this.
okay. Let me ask you a question. If you really want to work through your balancing your karma, two souls, what would they choose? Like a parent and child? Probably not spouse, because you can always get divorced, or siblings, or
He's saying, yes, mom, the blood ties, parents, sibling, but mom, even marriage is a very karmic relationship, and
oh yeah,
we do choose a lot of major lessons through that. Also, you might have noticed there are couples who tried to get divorced for years, and they are not able to get divorced because there are still so many differences and lessons to be learned. So
right.
it's not easy. It's not easy to come out of marriage. Also, there are times when you get stuck in an unwanted marriage, and you have so many situations and conditions to take care of, and you will have to stay in the marriage either for financial status, or for your children, or for any other reason. You can still choose conditions to bind yourself in a marriage also. So marriage is also a karmic relationship. In
But
that case,
of the others, which is more powerful, as far as karma is karmic balancing? Mother child, father child, or sibling, or is it the same? Is it a
he
wash?
no, he's saying there are levels. So the heaviest and the most difficult will be mother child, because it's meant to be the most purest one, which invokes a lot of unconditional love. And if you have chosen lessons in there, it has to be very difficult and majorly karmic.
I
So
got it.
on top will be mother and child. If it's difficult, it's going to be very difficult and very heavy and painful. Second, father child, and then the siblings.
Okay, I figured. Okay, thank you.
So he's saying, once, if you are getting triggered, you are the learner, and the opposite person becomes the teacher in the
Ah,
contract.
okay, that
If
makes sense.
the opposite, yeah, if the opposite person is getting triggered, that person is the learner and you are the teacher. Now these are one way contracts where not much karma is involved, because it's just the one person of the two learning, and just one person getting triggered. So it won't be that difficult, because it's just one person trying to learn, one person suffering, one person getting triggered. But in case the lessons are between both of them are learners and teachers. That's
Oh,
what we called a major karmic relationship, like we discussed in our last lecture also. When both the people have to learn from each other, both of them will get triggered, both of them will suffer, both of them will have issues against each other. And because when you both are triggered, automatically it becomes difficult. If one person is calm and the other person is getting triggered, it's still easy to deal with that relationship.
right.
But if both the person are triggered at the same time, both of
All
them have
hell,
to learn from each other.
all hell breaks loose, man. Oh my gosh. Well, is that more common than the one-sided one, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
He's
Okay.
saying no, because we have taken so many reincarnations, and there are so many lessons pending for each of our souls. Each soul is struggling with so many pending lessons.
Yeah.
So we try and exchange lessons at one time and learn as much as possible from each other. If we are coming into a lifetime, if we have a relationship, we pack in as many lessons in a particular relationship, so that there is more learning in a particular reincarnation.
Right.
So
Okay.
saying yes,
Yeah.
then that's the karmic phase stage where you are triggered. And when you're triggered, how do you realize who is learning and who is teaching? That's what he explained through the triggers. The next part is recognizing the lesson.
Yeah.
So you are aware the karmic phase is on. Either you are getting triggered or the opposite person, or you both are getting triggered. The next step would be recognizing your lesson. And he's he's emphasizing on your, like he's writing it in caps on the board. He's saying because you only have to be focused on your lessons, your growth, your journey.
So you don't have to worry about the other person that's being triggered. That's on them.
That's on them. That's their journey. That's their lessons. Their soul
Right.
is evoking their lessons. The minute you start interfering in the other person's, you are attracting more lessons because you are meant to be focused on your journey. And that's where blame, judgments, and everything comes, and it makes the karma much more heavier and much more difficult to settle. So he's saying,
Unnecessarily too, probably. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So he's saying it's very important to focus only on yourself, no matter who you are dealing with on the opposite side. Be it your child, be it your spouse, be it your most loved sibling, you will focus on your journey, your lessons, and your triggers. You will never interfere and blame and judge the other. That's for them to learn, for them to recognize their lessons. Even helping, he says, Mom, I have seen so much people like to help, but
Yeah.
they don't realize that them helping is actually not helping them. It's
It's
actually
robbing them of the lesson, right?
interfering with their lesson.
Right. Oh, it's so hard, especially when it's a mother-child thing. Oh God. Hey, do you do karmic assessments, readings for people, like for two people that or for
Yes,
one
that's
person?
what I call Akashic reading. Because for that, I go and access their Akashic records along with Erik. He's taught me how to do that, and we both visit the records and we see the karma behind that relationship. We also, there's one more interesting aspect that he's taught me is we go and see the backstory of the karma which is getting activated in the current life. Like if someone is abusing you, why did you choose to get into a contract to be abused by that particular soul? So
Yeah.
we go and assess their past lives which has led to this contract. And when you get an understanding of that karmic backstory, it's so much easier for you to recognize your lesson, to forgive the abuser, to heal yourself. So we do a lot of that, but it's much more of a complicated process, and I do it in through sessions, not through readings, because I really need them face to face to be able to explain all the
Right.
aspects.
Oh God, yeah. Did
But
you
it's
do
very
two people
interesting.
at once that are having problems?
No, so if you are sitting in front of me, I'll be just giving
That's
you a
okay. I got
scripture
it.
on the
All right.
relationship you have difficulty with. I don't need the other person.
So,
This
and
is-
they can find that by going to channelingspiritworld.com, right? All right, good. All right. So sorry about that. I just wanted to know. Sounds cool. So Erik, you may proceed.
So he's saying, now recognizing the lesson. Once you are triggered, you have to recognize your lessons. You have to focus on your lessons. You have to try and learn your lessons. And recognizing the lesson, it's a whole process in itself. And yes, it's the next stage, but it's a whole process in itself. He's just going to give a very basic understanding of it because he's going to take it as a separate topic. The next topic will be this one, because we have covered the karmic phase and the triggers and the learner and teacher relationship. This is our next topic. So you think I'll be taking it separately also because there's so much to discuss on it. And he'll be giving clear-cut examples of if this emotion is triggered, this is your lesson. If this emotion is triggered, this is your lesson. He'll be very clear with it. And the viewers will be able to identify their lessons in their karmic relationships very easily through that lecture. But for now, he's saying whenever you are triggered, you have to look at the base emotion within you which is being triggered. That base emotion, that hint will lead you to your lesson.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. He's saying if your self-worth is triggered, you feel insulted. Then your lesson is to stand up for yourself.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
What about resentment? Probably learning about, what's that?
If you have anger, if you have anger issues, that means you have resentment and you have to rise above that emotion and bring peace, balance within yourself. So the lesson is peace and balance.
And it could be that betrayal, that you've been betrayed, you resent that. So you have to learn to forgive too, right?
Yes, you have to learn to forgive. You have to learn to let go, because letting go will remove that resentment from you.
Right. Oh, that's not easy. All right, that's really cool. That's going to be so much fun. That this
Yeah,
next
he's
session.
saying, Mom, just imagine your life will become a playground. You will just learn to play with your lessons, with your relationships. You will not take it so seriously. They will not give you so much pain and suffering. You will not see problems as problems. You will see problems as lessons.
It's almost
And
as if you're becoming an observer of your own life, and oh, okay, I see this and I see that. Instead of just being enmeshed, instead of being one of the pawns of the chessboard, where I'll use this analogy a lot, you're like the chess player, and you're just moving the pawns around.
and he's saying, Mom, the best part of being an observer is that your emotions lose hold over you.
Right, exactly.
Difficult emotions lose hold over you. They are not able to control you. They are not making you suffer. Instead, you're observing them and you're detaching from them and you're becoming an observer, and they're losing that hold. So that's the most important thing that you've said. Yes, the observer, because we suffer because of our emotions.
Yeah. So
Our
you can say,
lessons
why
don't
am
make
I
us
feeling
suffer.
this way? Let me disconnect. Let me not suffer. Let's just analyze. Okay. Very cool.
So he's saying, I'm just giving a hint. Of course, we'll be discussing it in great detail. So if you want to understand the lessons, look at your triggers, look at the emotions which are being triggered, because they will directly hint you to the lessons your soul is trying to learn. Because if that lesson was learned, you wouldn't feel that emotion.
One more I want to ask. Of course, you'll get into all these next time, but what about sorrow, sadness? What are some of the lessons behind that?
He's saying, Mom, detachment. You suffer, you're sad because you're attached to a situation or a person or an outcome.
Oh,
Your major lesson will be detachment.
I see.
Detachment to that expectation, to that outcome, to that person who is giving you that sorrow.
Okay.
So he's saying detachment is the most important lesson. If you remember in our previous lectures, he had discussed three major important lessons, which form the major umbrellas under which all the small lessons come. And he has always said that if you learn and master these three major lessons of forgiveness, detachment, and being non-judgmental, the rest of the karmic lessons are very easy. They are
Yeah.
very small and they come under the bigger umbrellas of these three major lessons.
So detachment, forgiveness, and being non-judgmental.
Non-judgment.
Yeah, that makes
He's saying,
sense.
oh, if you look at each of them, if you have mastered this, nothing can shake you. Nobody can shake you. Of course, it's difficult. And of course, there are levels in every lesson, but that's how it goes. That's when you come to that perfect lifetime where the material illusion is not affecting you, where you can see your lessons clearly, you learn your lessons, you balance your karma, and that's the last perfect lifetime you live, and you escape the reincarnation cycle.
Mm. Nice.
So, yeah, and so he's saying recognizing the lesson, then the next stage is learning the lesson. And once you learn the lesson, the relationship, the next stage is the relationship will become peaceful. Now he's saying, Mom, there are two scenarios to it. Either you will learn the lesson or you will not learn the lesson. In case you are learning the lesson, the relationship will become peaceful. And if the contract entails companionship, it will still continue in your life. And if the contract is not to stay together, once the karma is balanced, that person, that relationship will naturally drift away from your life.
Right.
Even if it's a blood tie, he's saying.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
If it's in the contract, even if it's a blood tie, it will
Right.
drift away. Now, the second scenario where you are not learning the lesson, what will happen? If you are not learning the lesson, the relationship will continue to get more and more difficult. And you will not be able to escape the relationship.
Right.
Now, we do have free will and we'll try our best to come out of it. And if we are able to come out of it, if it's a binding contract, you will not be able to come out of it. And the relationship will go on getting more and more difficult. And that will, shake your life completely. If the contract is binding and you're not able to get out. Now, again, we have free will and we can still do our best and, we get out of it. In that case, the karma remains imbalanced and you come back with the same soul in the next lifetime. And that lesson will be at a much more difficult level because you escaped this difficulty level in this lifetime.
Right.
So these are the next stages where you learn the lesson or you don't learn the lesson. And after that, yeah.
But what if one side learns it and the other doesn't?
That's fine. It's about you, Mom. So have
Okay,
you
I
learned the
got you.
lesson? You
Right.
have learned the lesson, your karma is balanced. You need not get, enter into the spiritual contract again with that person, and that person will have to find somebody else to learn the same lesson and exchange lessons.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's not like, all right, I learned my lesson, the other person did not. So I guess we're gonna have to be binded still, but no, it's not true, right?
No,
Okay, good.
that's up to you. He's saying, Mom,
Okay,
now once you're back in the spirit world, and if you have a strong affinity to that soul, and that soul might ask you to again come back to teach that person the same thing, but you have learned all the lessons that soul has to offer you, so that's when the contract will be one-sided.
okay,
But it will, yeah, that person will be the learner and you will be the teacher. But that's up to you. If you
Okay.
choose to enter into that contract, that's always up to you.
right.
What matters most is your learning. Every soul is responsible for its own learning, own journey, own karma. The other person, what the other soul is doing, it's up to them, because we all are on a similar journey. We have that similar destination, and we all are responsible for our own selves. No other soul is responsible for any other soul. He's saying.
Okay. Of course.
So he's saying, then you go back to the spirit world, and then you come to the stage of entering into a spiritual contract again, and that's how the whole circle comes back to the beginning.
Okay.
Meeting in the spirit world and entering into the spiritual contracts. So you're saying, Mom, this is the entire cycle. We have discussed the initial stages in our previous lectures. Next lecture, we will be taking recognizing your lesson in much more detail. I'll be giving examples of emotions and the lessons entail. I'll try and be as much specific as possible, because anyways, there are just a bunch of lessons which is common for every soul, and every soul tries
Yeah.
to master it, and there is not so much so much difficult, it's not so much complex, he's saying.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that. So the karmic cycle will help the viewer to understand where they stand karmically, what is going on in their life currently. Is the karmic phase going on? Are they getting triggered? Are they trying to learn, or are they trying to teach? Or if the lesson is going on, what is the lesson? And again, he's saying, how do you understand if you have learned the lesson? So he's saying, Mom, it's simple. If you stop getting triggered, if the relationship stops
Right.
triggering you, if you're at peace with that person, with that situation, your lesson is learned. He's saying there will be scenarios where you might deduct one lesson. Now, if you go to a medium, and if you access Akashic records, you will get the exact lesson. But if you're trying to deduct yourself and guess yourself, there will be a possibility where you might deduct a wrong lesson. In that case, if you're deducting a wrong lesson and you're trying to learn it, anyways, you're learning and growing. But the relationship will continue to trigger you, because the lesson that the relationship was meant to teach you has not been learned yet.
Oh.
So that's going to be your cue.
Right. Interesting.
And he's saying, Mom, just imagine that perfect scenario where you have learned all your difficult lessons from situations as well as the relationships. Life will stop troubling you. You will be at peace.
Yeah.
With your life, with yourself, with your soul. And that perfect scenario is possible.
Nice.
We work towards.
Yeah, of course. I guess we all ultimately get there, right?
Yes.
Some of us take a lot more lifetimes than others, but still
Yes.
okay. We may get to the path, we get to our destination, all of us, no matter what.
Yes.
All right. Awesome.
So that's it for today, he's saying, and we'll meet for the next lecture where we'll be understanding the triggers and the lessons in a particular karmic relationship. He's saying, Mom, we need to understand that once we learn, these triggers will stop. The relationship will get peaceful. So it's important we work on each and every relationship, get it to a peaceful point, and balance the karma in it, because this is why we are here. This is why we are in relationships. This is why emotions are evoked. There's no other reason.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Erik, and thank you, Renuka. You guys, of course, check her out. Get an Akashic Records reading with her at channelingspiritworld.com, and be sure you hit the notification bell so that you can find out when this video is going to be posted, so you can ask us questions in that first 24-hour period. Okay, and subscribe to our channel, please. Thank you. Bye. I love you both.